Hi, this is Chris from the Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from Political Voices Network.
I mean, my question, too, would be how does Donald Trump, the ringleader, not get at least what all of these foot soldiers are getting? What do you think?
You know, I'm writing a big article on my Substack right now called Democracy is Winning. And I'm here to tell you, I know a lot of people sound sanguine because you're listening to the wrong news and you're listening to stupid, silly Republican meta-narratives like Joe Biden's too old, Kamala Harris is stupid. No, these are lies fostered on you by people that want you to think everything is down. Democracy is now winning. Enrique Tarrio was not even in Washington, D.C. when he fostered that seditious conspiracy to overthrow the government of the United States and got 22 years. He was in Baltimore because he was caught on weapons charges in Washington.
And this was a Trump-appointed judge from the Federalist Society.
Osama bin Laden didn't have to be in New York City to have people fly airplanes into a building. When you conspire against the people of the United States, this is the FAFO effect we have all been waiting for, right? This is where people are starting to understand there is a snowball of these criminals who stood against America. All you need to say when discussing this is these people are criminals. They are convicted felons. And you support them and you want Donald Trump to pardon criminals so you are light on crime. You will let murderers, seditionists, anarchists, and insurgents out of jail to further your criminality of your own tribal leader.
Let me ask you a larger question. I guess I thought of you, authoritarian expert Ruth Ben-Ghiat, who I know you know, thinks the GOP's increasingly extreme positions can only backfire on the party, because this is a larger story than just Trump. She said it's a very scary and sad time for America. The GOP is now an autocratic entity, hollowed out and in its bunker stage with its fervent support of Trump, she argued. But things can only go one way for Republicans who are so out of step with popular desires. This is why what Trump calls the final battle, they're going to try no matter what to get back into the White House so they can shut down democracy, because they know that otherwise they won't ever be able to legally win again. They already didn't win the popular vote, and now being so extreme, they'll alienate more and more Americans. I don't have a time frame for it. It has to happen before 2024, but we will get through this and our democracy will be strengthened as a result. You cover a lot of this in your latest book, They Want to Kill Americans, and this does feel like the final battle for our democracy.
Well, we are certainly, I think I said this in 2020. We staved off the collapse. Now we're in extra innings. We may have one last chance next year, 1 year from now, to save American democracy from the greatest threat. This is a greater threat than the segregation of the southern states. I'm sorry, secession of the southern states. They could always come back in. They were forced back in. We're talking an insider threat where one man has split the United States. Has created an environment where all American values, starting with common sense and decency, are now considered negative anti-American traits if you're part of that insurgency that is now arming themselves and holding themselves to Donald Trump's standard. This man is a dictator wannabe. He is desperate. And the only way he's going to get out of it is to destroy every American law and the American government. And you know what? You will go into civil war if he wins. Period. Done. I remember on January 6th, there was a moment there, and I'm going to be quite frank. There was a moment where I thought, is this going to be successful? Am I going to have to go down to the arms room, down to my gun safe and start preparing to go defend democracy? I mean, it could happen here. And it's already wrapped in the American flag, holding the Bible, as the old saying goes. But this man is a dangerous fool that will be a threat to your life, your safety, and your family.
Can I just say quickly before we go, you, in the meantime, you fight the Gravy Seals, the, what else do we call them? Online.
Something Force 5.
Pardon me?
Something Force. Fox Force 5?
It's
I
not
don't know.
Fox
Just
Force
people
5.
that haven't served. Someone tweeted, when will self-pitying Prince Harry stop whining about himself? 2 brief tours of Afghanistan made him cry for his mom. He was never wounded, unlike the brave vets in the Invictus Games who suffered terrible life-changing injuries, yet he attacks the media for ignoring the wounded. You said Prince Harry is a real man, accomplished, selfish, heartfelt, brave, yet sacrifices the world to protect his family. Yes, he escaped injury, and that's all right. Now I'm sure I speak for all veterans when I say most sincerely he's never going to you, so stop flirting.
I'm sorry. Let's put it on the table. Prince Harry's a man. He's a man's man.
Yeah.
All right? He sacrificed royalty for the woman and he loved and his children.
And listen, I've been watching Suits, and now I'm in love with Meghan Markle, so I totally am on Team Harry.
You know, Harry makes a man wonder.
Wow.
Wow, Malcolm Nance.
He
Hi.
is. Hey, that's a man.
All right.
But what I'm saying is this: that what he did for the Invictus Games, giving it a royal, essentially the royal mien of him supporting wounded veterans.
Yeah.
But you know where most of the real wounds come from? People who are never wounded,
Yeah.
who serve in war, who are injured in war psychologically. And
Yeah.
this woman insulted his 2 tours of duty
Yeah.
when he was there as Windsor. No one knew except his commanding officers, like his duty meant nothing because he didn't lose a limb.
Yeah.
He supported veterans above and beyond his own call of duty.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
Can we talk about Senator Tommy Tuberville? I had to save this story for you. He said the U.S. got Ukraine into this mess and says he is not for giving, he's opposed to funding for Ukraine. He said, let's see, it's not going to end up well for Ukraine. We pretty much kicked this can down the road and got Ukraine into this mess. We can't get them out. How can you be a United States senator and be that dumb? Vladimir Putin got them into this mess, period.
Okay. You sat around this morning and you said, which of these 5 stories is really going to help?
Is it going to make him the shoutiest?
And one of them, it has to be Jody, was like, Tommy Tuberville.
Yeah, you know.
Great. What an idiot. I mean, this man is a moron's idea of a moron.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just utterly amazing to me that all you have to do is stand around on the edge of a 100-yard green field and shout at men who are more talented and virile than you at a university in Alabama, and that qualifies you to be a United States senator.
Yeah.
Who will come here and say the United States got Ukraine into the situation it's in, which is what? Russia invaded with 200,000 men? We did none of that.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of this from the idiots on the internet who are like, oh, the CIA did a coup in 2014. Hey, having a revolution because you want to be aligned with Europe and not with Moscow, and a peaceful protest where 100 of your citizens are mass murdered by a dictatorial regime, that's not a coup d'etat. All right? I think we had one in what year was it? 1775. So, you know, it just absolutely flabbergasts me. Not how absolutely and historically dumb this man is.
Yeah.
We've got other ones there. But how historically dumb and stupid people like him get to positions of power by being that aw shucks idiot that would they wouldn't even let him use a plastic fork to whittle, a plastic knife to whittle down by the country store, and he's now their elected representative. It's like what was Governor Latomaine in Blazing Saddles, right?
Yeah. He said, we know there's been hundreds of thousands of people killed over in Ukraine, both Russians and Ukrainians, but the Ukrainians are getting slaughtered. He then went on to call Ukraine the 51st state. Okay. Oh, Malcolm's launching himself out of his seat. Uh-oh. He's gone airborne, everyone. Navy has gone airborne. And then this one, can I just say, so when Russia launched the invasion last year, he said of Putin, he can't feed his people. It's a communist country, so he can't feed his people, so they need more farmland. Okay, so obviously Russia abandoned communism after the fall of the Soviet Union, but let's go back to how does someone this dumb become United States senator.
You know, I've actually heard people call him Senator Leghorn, like Foghorn Leghorn.
Right.
Foghorn Leghorn was actually very intelligent and had an entire basis of common sense and was quite amusing. This man is a dangerous fool. I'm not joking. That again, they wouldn't give him a plastic knife to whittle pieces of wet wood down in Alabama, but they promote him to this position. Let me explain something to you all about Ukraine right now. I am in constant touch, daily touch with the International Legion battalions in Ukraine. I was briefed by the defense minister himself, who just is now becoming the ambassador to the United Kingdom, Minister Reznikov. I can assure you from my own personal involvement fighting in Ukraine, we kicking they butt. All right? I don't know if you can use the
It's a military code. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I can kick our ass.
Yeah.
Oh, we can?
Oh, yeah.
Kicking their ass.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, men and women are dying. But this is the largest war since World War II.
Yeah.
And what Tuberville was talking about, Russia needs more farmland, was to give them 25% of the world's entire grain and flour production. This is insane. They are 42 million independent people who want to live in democracy with the West. And if you think that, you know, you hear these stupid comments by people who are uneducated and morons, also known as Republicans, that we're taking American money and we're giving money to Ukraine. Here's what Ukraine's getting that you cannot use in West Virginia or Texas. Artillery shells. That's what we're giving them. Ammunition that was purchased 10 years ago, which would have to be disposed of, where we would have to pay contractors to millions upon millions to destroy this ammunition, or $1 billion to decommission vehicles and equipment. And we are sending it as an arsenal democracy to Europe, and we are saving the eastern flank of democracy at no cost to you, because this stuff has been paid for decades ago. The U.S. Army would be dumping it in the ocean. In many places.
And let me just say, the other thing that we keep using the word unprecedented, but the way he is harming our military, to me, again, maybe I overuse the word traitor, but I mean, this is General Wesley Clark talking about Tommy Tuberville single-handedly hurting United States military readiness.
We serve the commander-in-chief, whoever he is, whatever party or she is, whatever party they are, it doesn't matter. Now, Senator Tuberville is a former football coach, and a darn good one. He knows you can't have a football team succeed without coaching. So he's really put his thumb on the jugular here of the U.S. Armed Forces. I think the Republican Party and the leaders in the Senate need to put a stop to this. And that's certainly the message that's being delivered by the service secretaries.
More importantly, let me ask you a political question going into 2024. How do you ever vote for, how do you ever claim to be the party of the military and the police after January 6th, after this kind of stuff? Like, how do we take back those issues that have traditionally, they're like, oh, Republicans are the party that support the military and support police?
You know, I've talked about this several times on your show. I'm going to remind everybody again, we're coming into the political silly season. You have to learn to make a meta-narrative, a very simple framework around what you are going to discuss with people. Simple framework like this. You are not the party of supporting the police. You hate the police. Yeah. You are not the party of the armed forces. I can show you things that your party has done which have damaged the security of the United States. Donald Trump was, by his own secretaries, was said that he was going to withdraw the United States from NATO, the greatest security organization in the history of the world, at the beginning of his second term. He ordered at the last month of his term that the United States pull out with wild abandon from Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And the only reason we got that 8-month grace period is because the Biden administration lived up to the contract of him turning it all over to the Taliban.
Yeah.
And we got out in a relatively orderly period. Imagine if we had gone out in the 7 days that Donald Trump wanted, that he wanted the complete withdrawal from Afghanistan before the inauguration, there would have been much more than mass murder going on.
Yeah,
There would
yeah.
be involved in a mass vicious war.
Yeah,
I
so-
mean, this man and the Republican Party do not respect the national security of the United States. They don't know what the word diplomacy means because they've thrown that out of their vocabulary.
Yeah.
And they use police only as a bludgeon against people. They don't support the blue line. They support the thin blue line
Yeah.
when it oppresses other Americans they hate.
Thank you.
And that's
So let's-
why we have a giant split.
Hey all, Glenn Kirschner here. I hope you'll join me on my new audio podcast, Justice Matters. I'll be using my 30 years as a federal prosecutor and Army JAG to unpack, break down, and explain the legal issues of the day, particularly where the legal intersects with the political. Please look for Justice Matters with Glenn Kirschner wherever you generally get your podcasts.